Hello and welcome to another episode of the E-Reads podcast. My name is Liz. I am a therapist, author, and creative wellness coach. And today I'm very excited to speak with you with author D.W. Brooks. And the wellness topic we are tackling today is how to be intentional and organized. Listen, it is 2026. We're still in the beginning stages of the year, and we are trying to be intentional and organized so we can get all our creative dreams accomplished. And so we are going to break down how to do that and how to be well. But before we do that, let us get some announcements out the way. So if you are listening and you're interested in sponsoring an episode, please use the link in the episode show notes where if you have an upcoming book, business, someone's birthday that you want to shout out, please join to be a sponsor, and I will do that on the podcast. Other announcements, I have an upcoming goal setting class that is happening on January 30th, where we're going to talk about how to revive your goals. Listen, I know we are a couple weeks in and some people have not even started their goals or thought about it, but this is a great time to not only goal set, but to learn some strategies so that they actually stick. So it doesn't become another year where you have your New Year's resolutions that you do not meet. So let's go from stuck to started in this goal setting class. And we have the wonderful D.W. Brooks, who we are going to bring. And if you have any questions, please drop them in the chat. Welcome. How are
Hello,
you?
hello. Fine. How are you?
Good, good, good. I'm so happy we finally meet face to face and not on the interwebs.
It's nice to actually get to meet somebody because you spend all this time
Yes.
chatting with them. You feel like, oh, we're friends. But then you think, oh, I've never actually spoken to them before. Ah, are we friends?
And wait a minute, isn't it someone's birthday today?
Yes, it is. It's my birthday. I'm going to be ridiculous today.
I love that. Happy birthday to you. We're
Thank
so glad
you.
to celebrate with you on the show. Oh my goodness.
Hi.
Before we get too into it, please introduce yourself to the people.
My name is D.W. Brooks. I am a romantic suspense and contemporary romance author. In my old life, I was an ophthalmologist, and I have finally come back to my first love from when I was 8.
Really? That long you've wanted to be a writer?
Well, I tried to write when I was 8. My cousins and we were reading I was a big mystery book. I'm a mystery writer. I'm trying not to jiggle the phone a lot. We were big mystery readers when we were kids, and unlike now where you can go and search for all the books you may want, you can find books with people like us in them,
Mm-hmm.
but it was hard when I was a kid. So I read lots of Nancy Drew, Trixie Belden, Agatha Christie, Sir Conan Doyle. I just Earl Stanley Gardner. If it was a mystery, I was reading it. And
That's why I
then my
love all
cousin.
your book rec picks. I am a mystery girly. I don't know how I wrote fantasy before mystery, but yes.
Yeah, so I said, all right, my cousin and I said, all right, we were 8. We were like, this can't be that hard. We're going to write our own mystery series. So
Stop.
we made up a whole neighborhood. I mean, we had some things right. We actually created a story Bible. I mean, we
Stop.
wrote down all
Too
the
serious at
characters.
8. Y'all weren't playing.
Well, we didn't know what we were doing otherwise, though, because we wrote the story Bible. We wrote all the characters, who liked who didn't get along with who, where they lived, who had beef, what was the beef about. We wrote all that down. And then we got some dot matrix computer paper and folded it in half so it would look like a book, stapled it shut, and started writing. And we generally get about one fight in and one, wow, that's a mystery. And then we're like, oh gosh, what do we do next? So we were not we were not equipped. We didn't know how to plot or, leave breadcrumbs, nothing. It was just, so we had a whole lot of basically one chapter books. They were all folded over. They looked like books because one of my cousins is an artist. So they had lovely covers.
Y'all had a whole production team. I am here for this story. Okay.
Yes, but So, we're eight, and after we didn't get any books finished, after a while, we're kind of like, what else can we do? So everybody moved on to other things, and the stuff went into my parents' attic. And so at some point, I finally went up there to look for them, and they were all gone. And I asked my mother what happened to it. I mean, there's plenty of other junk up there, so why exactly is the box with the books gone, but all this other crap's still there? And she was like, "Oh, I didn't throw it away. No." And then she told me that squirrels got it. So I said, "See, now I know you threw it away, but that's that's okay." So we have no proof of it. I mean, my cousins remember it, but we have no actual proof.
That is a
Um,
great story. Oh my
it's
God. I'm
depressing.
like so excited. So like, are you a plotter now? Like, did that stay with you? How has that?
I'm still not a plotter. I am doing better with it, and I think when I actually sit down to write a mystery or to actually, I mean, Homecoming Chaos was romantic suspense. There was a murder, etc., and so on. So I had to plot that out a little more. I generally just write it, and then I go back and say, I need to add this, or I need to add that. So
Yeah.
I just like to write it out, and it's not. I shouldn't do that. I know I should plot more, but it's just
Well,
not how I am.
I'll say I used to lie to myself and say like, "Oh my God, I'm gonna plot." It doesn't happen. So like, I feel you. I like to say I write how I cook. I'm like, these are
Yeah,
the ingredients that I know are going in here. Let me see what I put in. Let me add. Let me develop as it's going. And so, should we maybe plot? I don't know. You readers be the judge.
yeah. No, well, just back to cooking. I'm a chemistry major, so I actually have to have a recipe. I follow recipes, but when I write, I do not. So I just kind of, I just kind of write it, and like even now, I mean, I have a book getting ready to come out, and my head is already spinning for the next book in the series. Like, oh, I already have the first opening scene already. Okay, and my
That was
editor's gonna
me
be
with
angry with me. My
yeah, but
editor's
that
like,
was
don't do that.
but that's how it was with like my story the book three in my Lyra Sommer series. Like
Oh, there's
I was
another one. Oh.
well, listen, so like I'm in the throes of writing it, but I remember I'm finishing book two,
Mhm.
Chasing Nightmares. And I remember I'm trying to write one scene, and then I just kept seeing the intro for book three. And I had to stop and write it down because I'm like, oh, this is exact like so like it amazes me how like sometimes it just the story comes when it wants to. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
you could do your best to set yourself up, but sometimes when that spark happens, write it down and then go back and finish developing it.
Yeah, because my editor has created a marketing plan for the match game, so I am supposed to be focusing on that. But this morning I woke up and I was like, oh, yeah, that's perfect for David. That's exactly what would happen to And I even mentioned it to my husband. I said, I bet you back in the day you had, such and such happen to you. And he just looked at me like, okay, all right. I said, that's going to be the beginning of the next book. And he was just like, oh,
Well,
Lord.
that brings me to, a great segue into intentionality and organization. So you have this marketing plan and you have these ideas for where the series continues. What are you doing to stay, organized or intentional about your writing process? Because that is equally as important as the creative part.
Right. I have several little writing notebooks that I write stuff down in. Like when I first started thinking about the match game, I actually wrote down a 2-page treatment. It was in the middle of the late match. My editor was just screaming, "Don't do that! Don't do it! Don't do it!" Just concentrate. And I was like, but I got to write. So I wrote down a 2-page treatment, just kind of what I generally want to happen. I didn't plot it out per se, just kind of story beats that I wanted to make sure
Yeah.
that I hit. And so I have notebooks that I jot stuff down in. I actually just subscribed to Plotter because I kept saying that I'm going to try to be more intentional because 2026, I have decided that I am going to go harder this year. I'm going to intentionally write more and intentionally, you know, be out in public more, go to more events, go to more markets.
Mm-hmm.
So I realized that in order to actually do that, I really probably need to start being more intentional about when I write and what I write. Part of my issue is that, I have a daughter with special needs who doesn't seem to understand when she sees her mother in front of her computer that she's doing something else. It's like, and she wants, Mom, come here. And it's like, what was I thinking? So I have to be more intentional with my time as well because
Mm.
she would just sit there and chat with me all day if I allowed her to. And usually her chats are not, or they're fun, but they're not like life ending or life shattering.
Mm-hmm.
They could wait a little while till I finished doing something, till I got to a certain point. But we've kind of spoiled her on that. We always stop and talk to her.
But like a couple good nuggets that I hear. So like on the tail end, the boundary setting that goes along with fulfilling your dreams. And I think a lot of people don't talk about that, of like, you have to be intentional about, whether your focus of communicating to your loved ones about your needs, all of
Hmm.
that. I think sometimes we're like, oh, it will write itself, it will happen. But if you don't create those boundaries, it really won't happen.
Right, right. No, I mean, I think that I probably lost some time just not really setting those boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
So 2026 is boundary setting. I bought one of those, wall size calendars, and I have stickers on them. And I mean, I spent time yesterday marking down everything that's planned thus far for this year. So I could actually see where I am, see what I'm doing. I put down all the benchmarks for the launch so I could see quickly without having to dig around what I need to do, where I need to be, etc. and so on. So I'm going to be way more intentional this year. I think I've already started, but that's
It,
kind
it
of the goal.
it sounds like that in the other piece where you talked about how this year you want to be more intentional, and I think that's like a natural progression that one goes through, of like, when you're just starting, you're figuring it out and you're doing things, and then there is that shift when it becomes like, oh no, I want to do this. I can see
Hmm.
myself, like, it becomes more, and you become more busy because it's
Yeah,
becoming more, and that requires intentionality. Those things you did in the beginning that got the book or got the creative process done, you have to be a little bit more strategic because just the time and the rhythm of things have changed. And I think that's, again, another important part, because I think people feel like, oh, well, now I'm being more structured. Am I going to lose the fun? And it really is a balance. And I think that intentionality, that mindfulness of you displaying everything, helps nothing to get lost, but everything to get elevated.
yeah. The part that I don't think is fun is marketing. So that will always be the same. But I I don't know. It may be a little different for me since I'm coming back to it, and also, throwing back in my birthday. I recognize that I don't have quite the runway that a lot of people do at
Mm.
this point. If I had started when I was 8, then hey, I could have written hundreds of books and things. But I recognize that I don't have 40 years ahead of me. I'm not trying to be morbid. That's just what it
Mm-hmm.
is. I don't have 40 years to write in front of me. So I really need to be strategic about getting as much as I can get done over the next 20, 25 years. That's being generous.
But like, I love that, because like, sometimes you talk to people and they're like, oh, I'll get to it, or, oh, I waited too long. But like, no, like, when you have that burning desire, start, start,
Yeah,
start, start. Don't give up on yourself. And I love that you're saying, you know what, I'm going to be intentional with my time versus, oh, well, I missed my opportunity. So like, I love that reframe for folks who may be sitting here like, I missed my time, or the opportunity has passed. You're like, oh no, I'm doing this now.
yeah, and I can honestly say that I may not have gotten back into it if it hadn't been for my kidneys. I mean, my
Mm.
kidney failure. I might not have. I might have just said, okay, that was a great dream, but when you get confronted with your mortality like that, I mean, I probably, I mean, well, I can't say that. I probably was not ever close to death, but I mean, it was kind of hanging around in my rearview mirror saying, hello, if you don't,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if, things don't shake out quite right, this could be it. And I started thinking, well, gosh, I'm sitting here because I was too tired to do anything else. I have a laptop. I used to want to write. I have characters in my head. All right, I'm going to do it now. Since I can't do anything else, I'm going to do this now. And then when I started, I was like, oh yeah, I gotta remember why I liked doing this before. This was fun. So,
And
and
I love that because what is meant for you to do, that gift, it's always there. Like it just was like, oh, I'm happy to be back. Like I love
yeah,
that.
yeah. And I actually, I don't know. I think my husband, because like I said, he's written two books as well. So,
Really, I didn't
um,
know that.
yes, he's adopted. So he actually wrote his first book about finding his birth parents because
Wow.
his father is Kenyan and his mother is white. And ideally, I mean, this was right around when Obama first really, really hit the scene. So it was kind of a similar background makeup. And he went to a book fair and actually met Obama, and they chatted about the similarities in their backgrounds and stuff like that. It's very cool. But so yeah, so he had some information and some thoughts and things, but I think he didn't think I was going to write more than one book. I think he thought, well, she's going to write a book and, we'll see. And then I wrote the next two for the Chaos Universe. And then I write this romance book. Then I'm writing a second romance book. And then I have another. He's like, okay, I guess this is what you're doing. All right. and
So
and so he's supporting me, but I don't think he was sure that I was going to actually push forward like this because he's like, this is book number 5. Okay. You seem to be pretty serious about this. I said, yeah. And of course, he's like, now he's kind of like, well, since we're really doing this, can we start looking at the finances? I said, no, not yet. Don't do that. I need more. I need more of a backlist. Don't do that yet.
that is
You don't want to
true.
know.
Absolutely, but you have a book coming out in March. Meet your this is the title Meet Your Match, or is that the series?
The series is Meet Your Match, and the title of this one is The Match Game. So there will
Mm.
be, so the first one was Late Match. This one's The Match Game. I already have the titles for the next two. They all have the word
Really?
match in them. Yes. So, because they're interconnected standalones
Okay.
about a friend and family group,
And for
basically.
those who
Because
are listening who may not know what an interconnected standalone, can you explain what that is?
That means that that you can read each book by themselves. You don't have to read the entire series, but there are characters that carry over from each series. There are events that happened in the first series that may inform what's going on. You don't have to read it, but may inform what's going on. So if you read the match game and say, then I kind of want to know a little bit more about, the relationship between Grace and Evan. You can go back to the late match and kind of pick it up, but you get the basic gist in there, so you don't have to read them in order. But it's always more fun if you read them all.
Absolutely. And your upcoming book, what is that one about? And what did organization look like when you were writing and developing this book?
Well, I actually, like I said, I was developing it in my head as I was writing Late Match because just a quick hit on Late Match. It's about two doctors who were engaged in medical school, but break up when they don't match in the same city. And they run into each other 15 years later. And they have some time to kind of figure out if they want to give it another shot. One of the drivers in them trying again is the lead character in the match game. She's actually the ex-wife of the main male character in the late match. They I mean, after he broke up with his med school fiance, both of them went on and got married to someone else. It didn't work out. So they're both single again. But they both each had a child in their marriage. And so they are very close to their exes because they have to raise kids. So the lead character, Grace, in the match game, had always said that she was going to fix Evan because he had stuff going on. You can read the late match and see what was going on with him. She always said she was going to fix him. And so when the opportunity came, she did. She needed to fix herself as well. And that's what in the match game, that's what's happening. Basically her friends are like, you've been divorced for a long time. You're a doctor, you're gorgeous, you're funny, you're foul mouthed, you're just fun. But you keep picking horrible, horrible, horrible relationships. So they hire a matchmaker to try to resettle her. And that kind of goes awry. It goes awry. So
Your books, I read your novella, they're fun and they have these smart characters. And did you always know the type of character that you wanted to write? Like, was that always clear, or do you like they come to you?
well, they all come to me, but they all have some general characteristics. And I mean, I'm kind of a foul mouthed person, and so all of the women are kind of cursors. If you don't like cursing, then they all curse, and they're all doctors or working to become a doctor. Especially in this particular series, all the females are doctors.
I
Guys
love
may or
that.
may not be, but all the women are doctors
Oh, I
or
love
going to
that.
medical school. Um, and I just felt that I wanted to write what I knew more than more. I mean, I know I could go research other things, but I wanted to write what I knew. I think that female physicians are a hilarious bunch, and um, I know there are plenty of stories out there, but that just seemed like the niche that I was going to fall in. And I kind of knew that from when I started writing Homecoming Chaos. I, when I first started writing that, I actually thought that I was going to write a semi-autobiographical thing because, I went to medical school. I did my residency. I started practicing. I got my MBA, and then I quit. So, my family's like, scratch, scratch, scratch. Wait a minute. You're kind of at the top of where you've been trying to get to, and you're quitting. We don't understand.
Yeah.
I went to work for WebMD, so I didn't just quit without a job, but
Mm-hmm.
I quit practicing. And I wanted that to be her story. And, she
Mm.
did her residency, and then she kind of says, this isn't what I want to do. But I ended up tweaking it a little bit and made that her backstory as opposed to her, and then I tweaked it some more because you read the novella, so she did quit, but for different reasons. I wanted to make it a little more interesting than just I found another job. I decided to do something else.
But I also
but
like that permission to do where your heart leads you. You know what I mean? To not just do what's expected, because I think sometimes we get stuck in lives and in versions of ourselves that we want to shed because, like, oh, well, I don't want to destroy everything now, but like, it's better to chase after what you want than to always say, like, to just be miserable doing what you felt like you had to do.
yeah, because I did spend a lot of time getting there, and I probably didn't spend as much time thinking about it because I just said, I, this isn't what I want to do. And part of it was that I went into ophthalmology. I am technically I was a good surgeon. I wasn't blinding people or things,
Mm-hmm.
but mentally and emotionally I was a wreck before every
Mm.
surgery because I would spend the night before each case going over everything that could go wrong and what I would do. And by the time I got into the case, I was just like, oh man, I am so tired
Mm-hmm.
because I'm just working myself up. And I thought, well, I don't think I can do this for 30 years. I think I would, run myself into the ground if this is how I'm doing at the beginning when everything's fresh. And, I still have a lot of support to go out to do stuff on your own. She's like, I don't think I could do this over the long haul. And, it was hard to bring that up to my parents because, they supported me. Well, hard to my mother. My father was like, do what you got to do. But my my mother was like, no, I don't know. No, I don't understand. So it was tough. Can you still hear me?
I can hear you clear.
Okay,
Yes.
hang on. I'm sitting in my car and I think my Bluetooth just took a break. But go ahead, I can hear you.
Perfect. As you're getting yourself together, tell us a little bit about so your process seems to be really organic, which is similar to mine. So like what does organization and intentionality look like for you? So when you are entering into 26 and you're trying to do this, what does that process look like for you?
Oh, um, well, like I said, well, first process is to, follow, I mean, have a calendar, be able to figure out what's going on with my time. And let's see, how should I be, be more intentional about where I go, events I attend. I try to be more intentional about, blocking off time. That doesn't work very well for me just because there's so many other things that kind of bebop into my life. I have to take my daughter to school or I have
Mm-hmm.
to come pick her up. And I don't really have the blocks
Mm-hmm.
of time that I would like, at least not until the afternoon. So I am trying
Mm-hmm.
to be more intentional. I've started trying to record voice notes.
Ooh.
I've tried. It's, you know, it's hard because I'll sit there and talk about it, then I have to go back and listen to it, and then I'm like, oh, what was I saying? Because it's hitting my head, and I'm just spitting it out, and then you think, oh, that's not exactly what I thought I was saying, but okay. Um, and trying to jot down notes. Like I said, well, after I get off this call, I'm going to go and try to write a note. Don't tell my editor about the start for the next book. Um, yeah, everything is about intentionality. That should have been my word because I think when I picked my word for the year, picked diligent,
Yeah.
which is a good word, but I think I should have picked intentionality because everything. I'm just I'm just moving with real intention this year, and
Yeah.
trying to everything I do, I'm trying to consider more about how that's going to impact things moving forward. Not just kind
Mm-hmm.
of, well, I'll work it out. So I
Yeah,
don't
I
know. Was
love.
that a decent answer?
Yeah, and like there's a couple things. One being you know you're thinking about how things are going to impact the other. And I think that's really important, especially like, we always see like indie authors talking about they're struggling with marketing, no one's, buying my book. But I think that framing of how things are going to impact the other can be really helpful, right? Like, how is this post? How is this video? How is this whatever, this interview, right? Thinking about how is that going to impact your sales or impact your visibility. I think that can help kind of navigate the clutter of everything. And then the other thing that you were talking about being intentional about events and where you're going, but being intentional with writing isn't always practical. And I wanted to touch on that because intentionality doesn't mean everything is structured and planned because that may not be realistic. And
Hmm.
what I want to say to folks is be intentional where you can and where you can control. You can't control everything in your life,
Yeah.
right? And so in the places that you can, like choosing the events that you go to, you can be intentional there. And so like I love that reminder of, or like that permission to not be super pressured about be everything has to be in order. That's not realistic to our lives. And so be
Oh,
intentional where you can.
yeah, it's not. And because like I did an event this weekend, uh, an author spotlight, it wasn't, I mean, it was a lot of fun. And I feel like it was probably, I mean, even though it wasn't super busy on Saturday morning, it wasn't super busy. Um, I think I made some really good connections there as well. So, even though it may not have been, wow, I sold out every book I had, I did sell some books, but I met, I spoke with the owner of the place, and I'm thinking that we may actually do something around the match game launch. And then I met someone else who came through, and she ended up being a sorority sister. So we chatted for a while, and she was like, "Give me all your information, and I will pass this on." So I want to be more intentional with things like that. So even if you go to an event and it doesn't turn into the big sellout thing, there are things that you can do that make it useful for moving forward. So,
Preach, preach, preach. I think that is so important because like again, like we can think so one lane, but you never know what those opportunities are going to turn into. But if you're not intentional about your time, intentional about paying attention, making connections, it won't happen. Like um for those who don't know, I am also a therapist. I have a private practice, and part of that is doing consultations for daycare providers and helping
mhm,
them with mental health. And I was at a book signing, and the person was talking to the children's book author next to me, and they mentioned they had a daycare and so on and so forth. And it was not a great sales day, but I was like, you know what? Let me tell her about my therapy practice and what I do. And it ended up turning into a consultation client. And so you never know what these connections will turn into. But if your only intention is sales, you never miss, you could be missing the big picture
mhm.
of other connections that can lead into other opportunities down the line. So that is an amazing lesson that I hope other authors pay attention of. Don't just focus on the sales, focus on connection as well.
Yeah, like I said, it was fun, and I am open to going to almost anybody's market. I'm actually going, gosh, I guess next week. Oh my gosh, January is almost over.
Yes.
Next week to uh, it's like this group in Huntsville, not in Huntsville, huh? In Missouri City, which is outside of where I live. I mean, it's outside of Houston. They're having regular events that are basically like parties, but they're also mixers. They just started doing it, and so I signed up for one. I'm gonna have to wear some boots, but because it's called Baddies and Boots, but
I love it.
wear some boots, and they're gonna do line dancing and stuff. But they also have vendors, and so I said, it's down the street from my house. This is I I'm going to go and make contact with them and participate. And they told me later on that they're going to have specific events during the summer that are specifically for books. So, and
Love that.
since I went in early, like one of the early adapters, I am grandfathered in at the lower price. And so I was like, see,
Come on,
intentionality.
intentionality already paying off. Let's go.
I told you this year we're going in.
Absolutely, absolutely. Please tell us again about your book and how we can purchase, or is it up for pre-orders? Tell us more.
Okay, a little bit about the match game. Generally it's Grace Robertson. She used to be married to Evan from Late Match. Like I said, great, great life. She lives in San Francisco. She's a gastroenterologist. She has a wonderful son, has a lovely family, great friend group. Her dating life, is bad. It's very bad. So they hire the matchmaker. Like I said, that matchmaker goes awry. Um, and she has to make some hard decisions about herself, what she's been dragging around from her marriage, uh, and things that she kind of has to get past so she can move forward with her life.
Hmm.
And it's quite spicy.
We love a little spice.
Yes, it's quite spicy. Because she meets someone who kind of spicy himself, so there it is. uh And so there, I have arcs are open right now. So if you go to my website, go to Instagram at author DW Brooks or at dwbrooks.romance, you can sign up for an arc if you'd like to, or you can also sign up for a pre-order, which is also on there. And that's from Kindle, from Amazon. But I also am planning to do a paperback pre-order
Nice.
as well. And that one will have a few goodies, like a little bit of art.
Oh.
So a little bit of art, couple stickers, stuff like that. So
Nice. And y'all, if you missed it, it will be in the episode show notes so that you can support author D.W. Brooks. This has been absolutely amazing. And listen, a great call to action to, again, be intentional where you can. Um, and I like, even as far as like the organization, to think about you, right? Whether it's voice notes, it doesn't have to be this 20-page plan, but like, what is organization to you? And like, I appreciate your like low pressure strategies that, again, like, can be adapted to any person. So I love that. Please, any last words that you want to share with the people?
uh well, it's all about the match game. So last words. No, but yeah, I hope everybody will check it out. And there will be more books coming in the series. It's all about Black love right now.
Come on, Black Love. We always need a little bit of that.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's it's a little bit of it's a little bit of a departure because my other story is interracial love. So I cover it all.
Oh.
I mean, because in the Chaos universe, Jameson's detective is white, so I'm covering
You
both
done,
ends.
you covering, you giving us everything that we like, a little bit of this, a little, come on,
Just want the Black women to be loved.
come on. Intentionally targeting all the markets so you get all the money. TW, thank you for hanging out with me. All the best to your launch. And again, y'all make sure to check out the episode show notes, and we will see you next time.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye bye.